everyone, we're the Bearded Bastards of the Villain's Man, bringing you session 28 of our D&D 5th edition game, The Ancient Reborn, here from Hughes Comics. I'm your DM, JVD.
Hey guys, I'm Evan the Great from the Villain's Demand, also part of the D&D group, the Bearded Bastards, playing Lewis Silverstring, the Elven Bard, Paladin of Bahamut, Harper Agent, Seeker to Slay, the Tiamat. Oh, and Greenfields Company.
Let's get longer. And hey guys, I'm the Bearded Wonder with the Villain's Demand, playing Vesper Nort, the Moon Elf Rogue / Warlock, the Voice of Cloth.
I am Smiley with the Villain's Man, playing Ornith White Hammer. And more talking stuffs.
Yes.
Yeah, more talking points.
Smiley, give me your recap.
We met up once again with our dear friend Harshnag. We were transported to Maelstrom where we're having to play politics again. So far, the only one that was outright dick was the Frost Giant. Gog had me rolling inside. I was trying so hard not to just burst into laughter the whole time.
You guys did get a lot of dickheadedness, not meaning to cut you off, because you said a lot of the right things.
Yeah.
Continue on.
Well, we're not outright dicks unless someone deserves it.
No, I'm talking about from the Giants.
Oh, yeah. Well, like with Gog. I love Gog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just kind of funny you asked about her. I'm like, it's funny because she is here.
Good.
Continue on.
Oh, that was the whole thing.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Well, the Frost Giants will go back.
To kind of speed this up, this cloud giant that you gave the armor that Aura had made doesn't speak. Gug takes her throne and it floats. And these ogres push her away from you guys as far as possible. And then they pick her table up and they take it to her so she can continue to eat. Jarl Storval, he's in the court talking to Princess Serissa. The stone giant will make talk with you guys. Just kind of sum this up real quick. You learn that he is a part of the clan that defected from Kyolithica outside Parnast in the Dead Cliff Mountains. So, and he watched you guys speak
What
with.
was his name?
His name is back up here, page. He is Thane Brannox. Thane is basically the title of a giant lord amongst stone giants.
Yeah.
But he had watched your interaction with the two giants when you gave up, when Roland gave up the glade.
Yeah.
Like he and some of his people had followed you guys all the way to Parnast.
So they were there when we were talking to Zorg.
Yes, and they watched Skyreach Castle leave. You learned all of this from him, and he watched you guys this entire time. And you learned that his clan is very scared of Kyolithica and what she is wanting to do.
I'm going to ask what her deal is, because he doesn't seem from what I'd expect from a stone giant.
He is fearful that Kyolithica will bring about an event called the Shifting of the Stones.
What is
Well, that just sounds rough, but anybody.
And he says basically it's an earthquake that will bring the end of all human civilization. All the small folk will perish, is what he believes. And though that she just says she doesn't want to be on top of the ordning, she does not want that seat, he fears that doing such a thing will put her there.
So do you
And
want
she is the most evil and cruelest of all of stone giants, which says a lot about stone giants. Though they may lean towards evil, they're not.
Well, it's not that they lean towards you. Was that when they don't have a
No, I'm saying those that do.
Yeah.
She is very cruel and wicked. She acts more like a frost giant, evil-wise, than she would a stone giant.
She's the one that cut our stone giant friend's throat?
Her goons did.
Yeah, that guy.
Yep.
I remember I heard that before.
We would
Have you kept an
certainly
eye on
like-
Zorg?
We would certainly like to help you.
Oh no, you got all that. I'm just saying you just wrap this up.
Oh, okay.
So, but you had this conversation with him for 2 hours. He's very kind, very soft-spoken, very intelligent.
Yeah. I will ask if he's been able to keep an eye on Zorg.
No,
It's just because I just want to hide.
Zorg is gone. He followed you guys.
Zorg followed us?
No, he followed you guys.
Okay. Oh, I thought he had people watching us. Never mind.
Well, we'll tell him that we can help him with it if he'd like our help.
You have your hands full. He's not asking for help or nothing. He's just telling you guys what he'd seen about you and getting to know you guys. So within 2 hours of talking to him, the doors open up and Charles Storval walks out. And he's angry. And as he walks towards the teleportation room, he just stares at you guys and he just literally walks by Doug's table and shoves the food off of it. Just breaks it off with his hand as he walks by.
I keep about 30 days worth of rations.
As he does, I mean, it scares her, and she kind of almost falls back. You see her glide backwards in this throne that she has made for her of coral.
I will say Dick as he's leaving, and then walk over to Gug and put all my rations on our table.
She looks at you. This is not enough. And she takes them all in one big handful and shoves them in her mouth.
Wow, that was like 30 days.
The cloud giant, who has only spoken when you guys traded with him, he says, "Well, that did not go well at all."
Well, to be fair, he was a dick, so it's kind of satisfying.
One of the storm giants in this real army, he says, "Greenfields Company, Princess Serissa will now speak with you."
Methinks.
You guys enter the room.
Does Harshnag come with us?
He's a member.
I was making sure.
You're the reason. He's the reason you're here.
Yeah.
He comes with you guys.
Nerd, I guess.
And as you do, on each side of these doors, these storm giants stand. And then as you walk in, you look around and there's stone bleachers that overlook this court. Near its center is basically, you would assume, is a pool of just seawater. Let's see. Facing the pool and the doors are 3 enormous thrones. The one in the middle is carved from a solid chunk of obsidian, has 4 dragon skulls affixed to its base, and floats 1 foot above the floor. If you want, you can make me an arcane check or a history check. You, or being a dwarf, get advantage.
Because I see these dragons and I'm... Hey! That's a 23.
That is a 27.
I got 12.
What do you got on intelligence?
27.
What I'm saying? Ord, you know this to be an ancient artifact of dwarves.
Oh.
This is the Worm Skull Throne. Built by dwarven gods and entrusted to the rulers of ancient Shanatar, the ancient dwarven empire, the Worm Skull Throne was a symbol of dwarven power and pride for ages untold. To most of dwarven history, this thing has been lost, and now you stare upon it, and Princess Serissa sits atop it. Flanking both sides are 2 smaller thrones that are made of coral and giant seashells. Standing behind them is a storm giant woman and a well-armored storm giant male. In front of them, about 30 feet, are 2 ogres dressed like storm giants, and they stand there with their arms crossed. And you can tell they look like they mean business. They kind of remind you of Mogothis ogres. You can tell these guys are very well trained.
Yeah.
As you walk in, the storm giant male, he says, "Present yourselves to Princess Serissa," and Harshnag takes a knee.
I as well take a
He
knee.
says, "The princess, you know me. I'm Harshnag."
I am Order Dwight of Greenfields Company.
I'll take a knee as well and introduce myself. I'm Vesper North, the Greenfields Company.
I'll take a knee as well. Lou Silverstring of Greenfield Company. How's Rupert doing?
He just...
Is Rupert even here?
He was here in the last one. I just assumed he's been with us this whole time.
No, I'm not assuming he's ever out unless you tell me.
Right.
Because there's sometimes you keep him in a bag, and then usually he's out when you're traveling. So I'm always assuming he's not out unless you say so.
Right, that's fair enough.
So it's like I always assume that someone's sword is sheathed unless they tell me it's out.
No, that's fair enough.
So
I
if he's out, he's out. I'm just saying.
Who's the human?
Princess Serissa says, "Rise, I have been expecting you. Heard many great things about you."
Some good, I hope.
And when she says this, the storm giant female behind her, she leans in and covers her mouth and says something into her ear, and she stands back at attention. She says, "Please, who speaks for you? Who is your leader?"
We really don't have a leader.
Most time it's giants and dwarves.
Harshnag Scott.
Oh, Harshnag.
No, he's not doing it for you. He's like looking at you guys like,
I have the biggest mouth, if that counts.
It's
she says, "But is it the wisest?"
Not all the time, no.
To be fair, my living is to make stuff blow up.
The armored storm giant behind her, he leans in and he doesn't whisper. He says, "Niece, Your Majesty, I would not put faith in trusting a dwarf." And he stands back at attention.
I believe out of all of us, the one that would be most fitting to lead us would be Ruta Silverstone.
Really?
She's the one that brought us all together.
Well, Vesper,
I've got us captured many
what
times.
do you say? You're in Rustia.
I'll step up and I'll be like, we really don't have a leader, but
We're friends.
we're just all friends, but I can
Players, we don't
If-
have a leader.
for them, I'm sure, if need be.
The storm giant female, she does not whisper and she leans in. She says, "Your Highness, look, they're unorganized. They have no one to speak for them."
We don't need
She's like, "You should not trust these people. They don't even have an appointed speaker."
We don't need an appointed speaker.
She
We
said,
know what we need to do.
She said, "Yes, in court, especially in one of royalty, someone needs to speak. Why do you think there are giant boards sitting outside waiting their turn?"
We came in here to speak, but we don't have a leader, but we get things done.
She's like, "That is not the point of having things done here."
That's not the point of court.
Exactly.
Right.
She said, "Maybe the dwarf is the wisest," and she chuckles. "So, who is your leader?" this woman says. "Who speaks for Greenfields Company?" You guys kind of feel that Harshnag is growing very nervous in this.
Alright. No offense. You have. You like to lie a lot.
No.
And you have very shitty rolls when it comes to this.
Okay, I'll be so. I got good persuasion.
Well, I'm not good with the dragons. You're good with King Weirdar.
I have good persuasion, I just don't have a
But he kind of fucking has you a cloth on his arm.
Yeah. And you worship dragons.
Yeah, that's what I'm
You
looking at.
both worship dragons.
Yeah.
So,
I really. You're a
Yeah.
dwarf. And this is a fucking giant.
But I'll step forward.
so you just step right up.
I'll just take a single step forward. I'll speak.
Princess Serissa, she kind of looks at the female. She kind of looks at the male, and you can tell she's very smaller than what they are. And she kind of looks at Harshnag. "Lord Harshnag, is this the speaker of your fine company you've talked about?" He kind of hangs his head down. He's like, "Yes, it is Ord Whitehammer, friend of giant kind. Yes." And you all instantly realize he's very unsure of this.
He's actually a shot. You're fucking dragons all over.
I have a dragon tattoo.
So she smiles. She says, "Please, good dwarf." She's like, "Why are you here?"
I am here seeking allies to fight the Queen of Dragons.
She says, "The topic amongst all of us, the rise of Tiamat. It's like, this is why the rest of the lords are here. is obviously why you're here. I hear there is much going on the mainland of preparing for war against this Queen of Dragons.
My company has been seeking everyone that we could to ally together against her. We spoke to Zalto and the entirety of the Sword Coast we could, the Lord's Alliance.
She's like, yes, I've heard of this Lord's Alliance from Harshnag, and I wish to have a seat on it, though Jarl Storval has assured me that I think that is not needed amongst giant kind. As long as we can restore the ordning, with hopefully myself and my father back on top of things, everything will be put in order, and we can take the war to the dragons, and hopefully become allies with you all. You can tell there's a big difference between her and the way she is speaking compared to the two behind her.
Yeah.
You can tell she's very young,
Yeah,
especially compared to her sisters that you were just speaking with outside. Like, there's a huge gap in age. If anything, she may be a teenager compared to her older sisters.
But she was the one that was decided to be fit, that was fitting the lead. Either that or the one that Echo was most amiable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She says, so please, tell me of the Lord's Alliance.
It is a collection of the leaders and lords along the Sword Coast and a few representing the north. Zalto of the Fire Giants also seeks a seat amongst them. It also is represented by King Bird of Battlehammer of Contelgrim, whom is delivering Megara to Zalto.
As you say this, the male behind her in all this royal armor, he kind of leans forward to her and he says, if I may, Princess, he speaks of the King of Dwarves, one of our ancient enemies. It is not wise to trust him. For all we know, this Lord's Alliance murdered your mother. Tell me, good dwarf, where does the Lord's Alliance stay? Where do they meet? Where is their council held?
They meet in Waterdeep.
He says, says, young princess, where your mother was murdered is just miles from Waterdeep. For all we know, the Lord's Alliance planned such a thing.
For all you know, it was the cult itself.
He says, the cult of who?
The dragon.
Are these cult of the dragon, are they small folk like yourselves?
You're the speaker.
Someone.
Yeah, you're the speaker, buddy. Don't look at them.
You're asking if every person that's small is of the same violation. It is like I say, it is every giant the same.
Wise words. Roll me persuasion.
16.
You win this round.
You win this round.
Now that this is taking place, to give you an idea of what's going on, there's a battle of persuasion going on between her advisors and you guys. And once certain points are brought up, I have counterpoints and points of my own to make, and there'll be a roll-off to see what the final persuasion DC is. Just giving this to you, because now that you're the appointed leader, this is all on you.
To clarify, speaker, not leader.
So,
Lowest was 18.
Princess Serissa's like, good uncle, I understand such a thing, but I have come to trust small folk due to my mother. My mother had a quiet fondness for him, and my father even tried to bring peace between our kind and theirs. Please, hold your words. He said, as you wish. Sorry, Princess. She says, continue on.
The cult of the dragon is primarily the members of various small folk races, specifically kobolds and half-dragons, dragon's tail.
She says, so there is none of your own kind within?
I have heard tell of a single dwarf that I know of.
She says, and what of their kind? She points to both the elves and the human.
I have not seen an elf.
Yeah, there was elves on the caravan.
No, yeah.
The family, that was their
I whispered to Orthe,
Wait, you whisper? He's standing up, so you're
No.
gonna come up and speak?
Yeah, like they've been doing to her.
Okay, you
I
step.
figured that's like more respectful.
When
than
you
talking
step
to her.
up, when you do this, these ogres pull an axe out from behind their back, and the giant behind you, the giant up there, pulls his sword real quick.
I
Halfway
see
out of
everybody
sheath.
going. I go. My hand goes.
No. There was an elven family on a caravan that belonged to the cult.
What you gonna now? What are you doing? As you come to say something.
I was going to tell him that there was else on the caravan.
Yeah. As you're
I see them doing that.
as you're doing this,
respectful. not
Lord's
just
like,
talking
no. Cerissa's like, everybody, please calm down. And the giant, puts his sword back in his sheath.
Yeah.
And these ogres, they stand there now at attention with their axe at ease below them. And he, the male storm giant in this armor, he says, Lady Elf, please watch what you do in the royal court, for we know there are assassins about at Maelstrom. For all we know, like I just said, small folk killed the queen, Mary. For all we know, it is what you are here to do yourselves.
Apologize to the whole court.
In hindsight, I'm wondering, they should have took this. If it would appease you, I will relinquish all my weapons until the court is adjourned.
This giant, he leans down and whispers in Princess Serissa's ear, and she kind of looks at him. She looks at the other one, the female, and she kind of just nods once yes. She says, please do so, Master Ord. We would appreciate this.
What would you like me to deposit to them?
She said, you can lay him at my guard's feet.
I walk up there, I place my whole bag of holding down, put like my warhammer, my crossbow.
As you're doing this, roll me an insight.
18.
As you're doing this, you could tell these ogres are in this real regal armor. You could tell they're dumb as a bunch of box rocks, and they're just like mesmerized by all these weapons you keep pulling out. And you hear one of them go, ooh.
This probably goes like 12 scimitars, thunder cannon.
I don't know if we're allowed to walk up
This
there.
armored storm giant, he leans back down again. He whispers in her ear, and she says, could the rest of you please do the same?
Of course, that's what I said.
My safety is our utmost concern.
I have my arms to collect it so that y'all won't be moving any closer.
As you do, Harshnag, he takes his axe and he kind of gives it a spin and he lays it in front of the ogres.
Yeah.
It's the only weapon he's got.
Cloud Chaser and Bowl of Bahamut, which is still coming up on a name for that, and Bahamut Shield of the North Wind. Damn it. Pull out my spare rapier.
We can both get shot, to be fair.
It's not as good as Blade 1000.
No, it's not. I'm just saying. If it's any easier, mine. Wait for you. Like, pull her arms, her weapons to one side, and I hold out my hand.
So,
Let's not put the
Vesper,
sword on.
Orvuste, she kind of looks at you with concern and like, what are we doing here?
You will win us favor. Come on.
Harshnag's looking at you and he's giving you this look like, do it.
I'll sigh real loud. I'll unstrap everything, give it to her.
So you're taking your weapons and whatnot off.
But I want it back when we're done.
The female storm giant, she says, look, young princess, this elf is obviously in league with dragons. She wears the mark of cloth. We cannot trust them.
She sold her soul to bring back to life the woman she loved.
She says, even better. Now she belongs to the beast. She's like, I have told you of cloth as this war comes. He is one of the most powerful dragons in the world. We cannot trust her. We cannot trust them. We cannot trust anybody here. She's like, imprison them. Do not let them leave Maelstrom.
See, I told you this fucking bad idea.
If you wish, Vesper could leave the room. However, she has fought by my side against the court on every turn. She wears the armor made from one of the court's dragons that I crafted myself.
This female, she speaks up, she says, see, she's already infiltrated them and gaining your trust. She's no different than the Zins Jarl Storval told us about. Do not trust them. Put them in chains.
Zins is my...
That's when I get mad, and
No.
I'll be like, you do not compare.
When you go to
that
speak,
sin."
the male says, silence! You do not speak to the princess.
This is about time for battle.
The Zentarum killed her family. It is a sore subject to her, especially when being compared as one.
The male giant speaks up. He says, if such is a sore subject, then maybe she is not fit for this war. Casualties will be high. My kind will die. Your kind will die. Even they may die, your friends. Even brave Harshnag, who I do not trust now that I've met you, now that I have seen this elf. If she takes offense now, when will she take offense when the dead are around her and a dragon is in her face?
Yeah, that's because she want to take an offense towards a dragon to kill her allies.
No, offense to the dead around her as a dragon is in her face. Will she cry then? Will she be upset? And this is just over words. She's like, I agree with Imrith. Put them in chains, princess. Do not trust them. Stop looking at him, you're the speaker.
Every time we say something, that makes it worse.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what to say that would diffuse the situation. Because it's not something, because it's like, literally like, people that she knows and trusts.
They're looking at cloth.
Yeah. We also have a paladin of Bahamut.
I don't know how they think of that, but...
She looks at this female that you know now as Imrith.
Yeah.
And she says, Bahamut, she said, another dragon god.
One that is the counterpart, the god of metallic dragons, that his very existence is in opposition of Tiamat and wants to see her never to leave the hells.
So she kind of, Princess Sarah kind of bowls over. She's like, so Bahamut and Tiamat are much like the ordning amongst the giant gods of each kind. They all battle for, basically to be looked upon by Nam. She's like, that would so confusing amongst you two. How do you trust each other? And she looks at Vesper and Luda. How do you work together if you oppose each other?
That's when I put my arm around her. I feel like it's her family.
We were friends before we... I don't know if I can talk. Hold on. They may not speak.
She addressed us.
And she did address you guys.
Oh. I said we were friends before we took our path. Mine is the path of choosing myself. Hers is the path to bring back the love that she lost. She's made a grave mistake, but she's also helped me save many, many lives, including Harshnag's when he almost died fighting the hill giants.
She tells you it is understandable and very admirable. And Nimrith cuts her off. She's like, but is it a mistake if she wears it out in the open? She says, look at her eyes.
I do not like the mark that she has. But her heart may be tainted, but Vesper's still in there. She has fought my side against many a cult.
She has proven herself, at least to me, as an ally, a friend, and a sister. And I would gladly give my clan to keep her by my side.
I'm going to let one of you guys decide who's going to roll this persuasion.
The
You
one
want
that
it?
can't roll over the 10.
I didn't have high persuasion, but I might roll under 10.
I'm going to tell you now, can you beat the 29?
No.
No, it's 24.
Ooh, you got close.
That's ungodly.
You can tell
Yeah.
Emrith kind of looks around, she kind of smirks, and she knows she's got a point with you worshiping cloth and this opposing between dragons. And Serissa kind of looks at her. She says, I'm sorry, but maybe it is for my best interest that we take you away in chains. She's like, but I do promise you, this is for peace. And upon your leaving, we will release you. You have to understand there have been attempts on my life here. I'm sorry. Harshnag kind of looks at you and he just kind of nods his head yes. He has told you that someone even tried to assassinate him. One of the storm giants from the back, he walks up and he says, present your arms.
On the floor.
Orvusier looks at you like, don't do anything stupid.
So I'm sure Orvusia's already got her arms out.
No, this isn't you. Vesper only. Taking you in chains.
It's about to be like with the bodies at the floor of the bitch.
Prove goodwill. Show them that we're not here as enemies.
Hey, what did you tell Brutenor when you first met him about everybody? They wanted to what? Just take and worry about themselves instead of giving?
Yeah, we have to give if we want to give. We've been given a council with all of them, which is a dwarf in here has been unheard of. Elves in here have been unheard of.
That doesn't help Vesper. Yeah, Vesper will do it.
When you do Harshnag kind of looks at you like, it sucks, but it's got to be what's done.
I'm sorry.
All protective Rusia.
I'll say Harsh and I get my weapons. I need to leave now.
He says, I'm sorry. You cannot take your weapons with you. You're a prisoner of Maelstrom. They would be a fool to let you do so. He said, but I promise you, nothing will happen to them. You have to trust me.
You have me what?
I'll just walk out and not say anything to anybody.
One of these storm giants marches Vesper out of the chamber and takes you to the prison. Your prison is in a spherical bubble under the water.
I was going to ask if she can just walk through the bars, but okay.
I mean, he takes you deep within a pool, submerged pool, and places you within a bubble.
You can hold your breath, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he stands there not too far from you. No, it's in a bubble. You can breathe inside this.
Yeah.
But it's just in a bubble and you're just kind of floating there. You can tell Princess Serissa is not happy with such a thing, but this Mel and Emmerich, they've kind of give her firm nods of approval, like she did what was right. And she tells you, Master Ord, Lady Luda, Lady Rusia, or Harshnag, I hope you understand the situation. She's like, I'm sure Harshnag, for one, can speak of the strange things that have happening ever since my mother's murder, my father's disappearance, and since I have been ascended to the throne.
It is completely understandable. One cannot. There's not enough give in this world.
She's like, and I cannot express my gratitude for your ally doing so.
She's a good girl.
She's like, I promise no harm will fall to her in prison. She's like, so what will it take to meet this Lord's Alliance?
I could attempt to schedule a meeting with him if you wish. I would have to cast a sending out, but when I tried to contact Harshnag before, I've received trouble getting in or out through the spell.
And she looks at Harshnag, is this true? He kind of just nods his head. And she was like, strange, we can teleport in and out of Maelstrom. Nothing stops us.
It could be something as simple as a non-detection spell or something of the like.
She looks at Imrith and she's like, such a thing is possible. To block all of Maelstrom, though, would take something of immeasurable power, for the castle is huge.
I will admit that I did express my displeasure at it on my last successful attempt.
She's like, we're not aware of this and we're sorry. Maybe if you could have contacted Harshnag sooner, this would have been all resolved quickly.
I've tried several times during my travels since he left us.
Princess Serissa looks at him, please make a note and look into this. She says, as you please. She's like, so, Jarl Storval said something about Duke Zalto already joining the Lord's Alliance?
Aye, we met with Zolto and Ironslag when we were seeking allies against the court. He offered an alliance with the Lords in exchange for helping recovering Megara.
She tells you the primordial.
Aye.
She's like, the primordial is not a concern of us, for it cannot enter the ocean, for the water will protect us from such a thing. She's like, he had mentioned such a thing in this colossus he is building. Zalto is nothing but a warmonger. And if anything, him or someone like Jarl Storval is the worst of our kind to sit atop the ordning. And that fears me. She was like, none of my kind, nor the cloud giants, or the lowly hill giants want such a thing. Such a thing could bring doom not to only our kind, but to yours as well.
To be honest, I'd rather the ordering stay like it was before.
She's like, that is my intention, and hopefully with you here we will do such a thing.
Maoni, Zolto he's a resource that's needed in a war.
This middle giant in the back who had pulled the sword,
Yeah.
he leans in and kind of whispers to her, and she's like, such is the way of war. Many do not do what they would normally do in such a time.
Aye.
She's like, much like your friend Lady Vesper with this mark of cloth. She was like, I understand that why she done it. Sometimes things like that may be taking it a bit too far. You have anything else?
We turned to Zolto when we had nowhere else to turn. We had just killed the White Dragon Glazelle, the Cloud Chaser.
When you say this, she kind of smiles. You've slayed a dragon.
Aye, two now. I did not guess the name of the first one.
She says, so Harshnag does not tell large tales. You guys, you are mighty.
We are people that wish to see it into a war. Might is the least of my own concern.
Luda and Ord, roll me insights.
Oh, 23.
Fucking 9.
God. It's a good thing he didn't do any of the talking, right?
That's why I didn't want to.
You realize when you said this about these dragons, now this really struck something good inside her. And you can tell by the smile she gives, there's something working inside of her head when you say this. The male storm giant, he speaks up, he says, you do realize that we do not need them for this war. If we can restore the ordning and set you or King Hikaton, your father, on top of the ordning, we do not need them. We will own all of Giantkind. We will take the war to them like we did millennia ago.
You do realize you're speaking of fighting a god.
He was like, yes, and the evil dragons have won. For the giants, we have 6. And there is one more powerful than Tiamat that watches over them all.
I'm not so much as doubting your gods, by no means. I'm not doubting your gods by no means. I've spoken to the oracle at the Eye of the All-Father.
You've been to the Oracle,
Aye.
and you see the curiosity on Princess Serissa's face when you say this. What was it like?
Magical, to put it lightly. It was amazing.
Roll me another insight. You get an advantage on this.
Maybe Taylor got him.
29. I mean, not 29, but 19.
You can see those gears in her head
Yeah.
now working even more as you say
Yeah,
this.
tell me even bless Vesper.
They even blessed Vesper. We made offerings to her gnome.
When you say this, the three in front of you all go, they suck in their breath. And the male, he says, Anam blessed her?
Aye.
But why? She is a servant of cloth. She's nothing but a spy, an assassin. She will probably ruin you all.
Because you show deference and respect to where it is earned, not to where it is wanted.
Tells you, Princess, they have to be lying. Anam would never bless one that is not of his kind.
Your kind is skilled with magic, yes?
Some of us.
Can you cast a zone of truth?
He looks at Imrith, she's like, I can.
Please.
And she weaves a spell and she casts it on him.
I let it take hold. She knows if it does or not.
Says, did you go to the temple of the Allfather?
Yes, I did.
And she looks at Princess Serissa, she nods her head yes. Did he bless this Vesper, servant of cloth?
Yes, he did.
She kind of, she looks at Serissa, she kind of nods her head. She holds this, and then you see her smile. Does she still have the blessing?
I know not.
He is unsure. He's telling the truth. Surely, with the mark of cloth, such a thing would be erased from her. The male, he says, yes. But our kind would never allow themselves with an evil such as cloth, Princess. Are there any questions? She says, yes. She says, Master Ord,
Aye.
can you take me to the temple of the Allfather? I have questions of my own.
Of course.
And you see Imrith, she kind of grimaces and she kind of nods her head yes. She's like, Princess, you should not go with them. She said, silence, Imrith. Can I trust you to protect me with your life, much like Lord Harshnag has?
I would give my life before a single hair upon your head was ever harmed.
You can tell Imrith gets angry. He means every word of it. Don't trust him. There's some way he's getting through the magic. He's done told you something is protecting this place from any type of magic. For all we know, it's him. Do not trust him. And she ends the spell.
I have done nothing to have ever earned your ire that I'm aware of. I do not know what to say to convince you that I am earnest. I do not know what I can give you, but I would give everything I have. Me name, me clan, my greatest creations, me metal bear.
She smiles when you say this, and you can tell that you're telling her everything that she wants to hear. And she looks at Imrith, she looks at this storm giant she's called her uncle. She says, then it is settled. I ask you, Greenfields Company, to accompany to the Oracle, so we may find out how I can sit atop the ordning.
I will kneel to her. It would be me greatest honor.